Good evening, everybody. My name's Ian Shepard, and I'm the owner of RightStart Newcomer Services. We've got a great show tonight. We've got a special guest to talk about exploring the great outdoors in Canada. So before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that RightStart Newcomer Services conducts business in Chibuktuk, which is how you say Halifax in the Mi'kmaq language. This city is part of the ancestral, unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. That means that when settlers came, the Indigenous people did not surrender their territory and instead signed treaties with Europeans. As a business, we're committed to upholding these treaties as we continue to build relationships between settlers, newcomers, and Mi'kmaq people. So, like I said, tonight we have a great show. Tonight's topic, like I said, is exploring the great outdoors. And tonight we have a guest. Her name is Chelsea Hanoun. She's the owner and operator of Settled Nomads, a tour company that specializes in sustainable, outdoor, active, and cultural activities. Chelsea is a tourism certified professional and has over 7 years of experience developing and leading outdoor adventures. So I'm going to bring Chelsea onto the show. Hello, Chelsea. How are you this evening?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Great. Yeah. So, did I do a good job of introducing you? Is there anything I missed?
No, you got it right on the head. I guess I could just say, too, that I'm not originally from Chibuktuk. I'm from Ontario, and I settled here about 5 years ago, and it's one of the most special places to me. I felt like home right away, and I'm so excited to share my travel advice with people and hopefully adventure with some of you in the future.
Great. So what brought you here in the first place from Ontario?
Yeah, I actually decided to go to school here, but it was even before I visited any of the universities that I fell in love with Chibuktuk. Halifax captured my heart. So even if I didn't get accepted, I would have still moved here.
Yeah. And do you think you'll stay here forever, for a long time, or is anything going to take you back to Ontario?
No, this is definitely my new home, my forever home. I'm trying to get my parents to retire here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Great. So I know we have a really great presentation. I'm going to bring up your presentation, Chelsea. Then I think, you can take it away. Anybody who's watching, so please put your comments, ask your questions in the comments section. And even if you're watching the replay afterwards on YouTube or Facebook, you can put your comments there and either myself or Chelsea will be able to answer those questions afterwards. So if that sounds good, I think we'll get going. So here we go.
Perfect. So I'll just full screen it for everybody.
Perfect.
Awesome. So to kick off, we're going to actually start with a little outdoor would you rather. So would you rather be in the forest or the ocean?
So should we type it into the comments or just think about it?
Yeah, I would love to see people's comments. And Ian, if you have input, I would love to hear what you think too.
Sure. Well, for me, that's a tough one. Forest or ocean? I like them both. Let's say ocean. I was born on the coast, East Coast, so let's say ocean.
Yes, I'm definitely an ocean person as well.
Yeah.
So next we have, would you rather sunrise or sunset? Morning person, evening?
So personally, I am an evening person. I'm not a morning person, so I'll go with sunset.
Yeah, I love waking up to a beautiful sunrise, but if I could sleep in past it, that's okay with me too. So next we have, would you rather camping or glamping? So for people who don't know, glamping is kind of a glamorous version of camping. You don't have to set up a tent. Normally it's all set up for you and you get a little bit more comfort. So are you a camping or glamping kind of person?
Let's say camping. I've never been glamping. I'm not really a glamorous person, so let's stick with camping.
Yeah, we'll go more rustic. Camping for me too.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to bring up a couple comments, Chelsea. So Rahab says, hello, Miss Anne. So I guess that's me. I will be Miss Anne. Hello, Rahab. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're doing well, wherever you may be. And Bay has an answer. So
Yay.
Bay prefers forest. So
Yeah.
if I remember, it was forest or ocean.
Yeah. Good. We have one person on the forest side.
Yeah. And she answered the next one. She's a sunset person as well.
Yeah. Well, luckily we have beautiful sunsets here. So if you ever want to come out with me, I'd be happy to meet up.
Yeah. Actually, Bay's in Brazil. So I know Bay, she attends a lot of our sessions. So might be a little bit far for her to come out, but maybe someday she'll be able to join us.
Then we'll have to do a competition. Best sunset photo.
Oh, wow. Hear that, Bay? You have to take a beautiful sunset photo and send it to Chelsea to see who has the nicest sunset.
Yes, you might win. I don't know.
Yeah. And she also prefers glamping.
Nice. Yeah. I think maybe in a few years or once in a season, I would definitely go for a nice glamping. Treat myself.
Have you been before?
Never.
Is it common here? Okay.
It is pretty common here. There's a lot of tourism businesses that offer glamping.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we have one more comment. So, hi, Mr. Ian. Okay. Hi, Rahab. Thank you for joining us, Bay and Rahab. It's great to see you guys.
Awesome. Okay. So our next would you rather is, would you rather swimming or kayaking?
Personally, I'll say kayaking. I do swim. I kind of like swimming, but I prefer being on top of the water instead of being inside the water.
Me too. Me too. And our last one is, would you rather go biking or bouldering?
That's an easy one for me. Let's say biking. I prefer speed to hard physical activity. So I'll say biking.
I've actually only done bouldering inside. I've never actually tried it outside, but it's definitely something that I would love to try.
Great. Just want to bring up one more comment from Y Chaba. So, hi, I love nature. I'm enjoying this live. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where you live. Maybe you want to comment. Just say where you are. If you're in Halifax or Mi'kma'ki or anywhere else in the world, please just let us know. Yeah, that would be great. Okay.
So we got a few people tuning in today and hopefully more watching the recording. But just to give you a little overview of what we'll be talking about today and what's in it for you. So we'll be going over some of my adventure recommendations, tips and know-how, resources, and you'll even get a tour discount for tours with me.
Great.
So as Ian said, we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. So as long-term guests on this land, we are actually very grateful that we are able to explore and connect and play and travel on this land. This land was stolen and we are all part of this land now as treaty people. So we must honor and respect our rights as such. And when we're walking and traveling and even maybe kayaking on this land, we want to make sure that we're keeping that in the forefront of our mind and being respectful and stewards of this land. So my name is Chelsea. As Ian said, I am a certified tourism professional, and this is actually the highest certification and standard available for tourism professionals, so it's quite a big honor to have. I love spontaneous adventures, and I have a passion for low impact and minimalist living, so I take really great joy in the simple pleasures of life. So we're going to go over some local adventures that you can actually do in HRM, which is the Halifax Regional Municipality. So all of the adventures that I've selected for this presentation are all accessible by public and active transportation. So you can walk or maybe bike there, and you can take public transportation, which in Halifax includes the public bus and the ferry system.
Sorry, Chelsea. Yeah. We just have a couple comments. So Mohammed says, hi, Mohammed. And we do have a request also
Ooh,
from Mohammed. Can you speak slowly, please?
yes.
So just a little bit slower. I think you're doing great. Just maybe scale it down a tiny little bit.
Yes, of course. If I do speed up, just give me a reminder, as I tend to do that. So Herring Cove Provincial Park is a beautiful park, and it is full of granite. It's down in the Spryfield area, further down near the entrance of the Halifax Harbor, and it's moderate difficulty. And so you go out and back. It's a great place to do hiking and walking and nature trips. So the next one is the Cole Harbor Heritage Park. So as the name suggests, it's in Cole Harbor. This is an easy park to explore. There's different options, so you can go out and back, and there's loops as well. I really love this one because you can do multiple activities, including bird watching, hiking, cycling, and even in the winter, you can do cross-country skiing and snowshoeing.
Can you explain? Maybe some of our viewers have never been here in the winter. So what's cross-country skiing and what's snowshoeing?
Yes. So cross-country skis are flat blades that you put on your feet, and you often have poles. So similar to hiking poles, you have ski poles to propel yourself, and you kind of glide on the snow. And snowshoeing they're kind of big boots that you strap onto your actual winter boots, and they give you a bigger footprint. So you can stay above the snow, and you don't sink into the cold.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And Admiral Cove Park is probably one of my favorites. It's up in Bedford, and it provides a beautiful view of the Bedford Basin, which is the head of the Halifax Harbor. So you get a wonderful lookout, and then you could also climb down and explore the shore as well. So it's a great spot to go hiking. And the last one we have listed is Blue Mountain Birch Cove Lakes Wilderness Area. As in its name, it's a wilderness area, so it's more remote and there's less services. So if there is an incident or something, you need to be more experienced. That's why it's rated moderate. And there are wonderful trails in this area, some that are accessible by public transportation and some that you would need a car to get to. This area is accessible year-round, so you could have fun in the summer and the winter.
Great.
Are there any questions before I move on to the next slide?
Well, Mohammed said, thank you so much for speaking slowly, I think. And Rahab says he lives in Spryfield. So that's pretty close to Herring Cove, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many trails in Spryfield.
Great. Okay, thanks, guys. All right, I think we're good.
Awesome. So the next one for our biking fans is bike trails. So there are a bunch of trails as part of the Great Trail System, which was previously known as the Trans-Canada Trail System. And these trails were built on old railroad tracks. So those two include the Rum Runners Trail and the Salt Marsh and Shearwater Flyer trails that I have listed here. So these trails are actually part of the bigger system. So you can go many kilometers really far, or you could do little short day trips. So they're very easy because they're off the road, so you don't have to deal with cars. And it's very flat and gravel roads. So the Rum Runners Trail actually goes from Halifax all the way to Lunenburg, which can take people, depending on their skill level, like 3 days, or 1 day if you're really good at biking.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never done it, but it's on my to-do list. And the Salt Marsh Trail actually heads to Lawrencetown Beach. So Lawrencetown is a great place to go surfing if you've ever wanted to try that. And if you're not much into gravel cycling or road biking, the Macintosh Run single track trails are actually a wonderful place within Halifax to go mountain biking. So there's single track trails where you can actually put your mountain biking skills to practice, which is pretty cool since it's literally like 10 minutes into like from downtown Halifax. So for our Spryfield watchers, it's actually in Spryfield.
Okay.
And the last one we have listed here is the Dartmouth Harbourfront Trail. This is a wonderful trail, and it's one of my favorites to do in the evening because you get a beautiful sunset and you get to take in the views of Halifax from Dartmouth. So pretty city views. This one is really easy and it's multi-use, so you can do all sorts of activities on it in the summer and the winter.
Great. We do have another question here. So Y Chaba is asking, hi, I live in Halifax. Which one can I go with public transportation?
All of them. I've only
them.
selected ones that you can access through public transportation. So what I would recommend is that you download the not the All Trails app, but you can download that one too. But you can download Transit. It works in multiple cities, including Halifax, and it will show you all of the buses, when they come, where they go, and it's really awesome to have on your phone.
Yeah, so it's just called Transit. It's the Transit app.
Yeah.
Or, you could use Google Maps as well. So just put in the names of these trails or whatever, and then it'll tell you which bus you can take or walk or bike or whatever to get there.
Exactly. And you can look up All Trails and Halifax Trails as well, and they provide more information about what you can expect of these parks and how hard they are and the directions and stuff as well.
Is All Trails one word or two, Chelsea?
It's one. So you can access it online and through an app.
Okay, great.
And Halifax Trails is a website.
And Halifax. Great. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question, Y Chaba. So basically, Chelsea only chose ones that you can access through public transportation.
Yes. And I provided some links at the end of this presentation, so people can always refer back to this presentation.
Great.
And since it's getting so hot here in Canada, I actually put some swimming hole destinations for Halifax. So the closest one to the peninsula is Chocolate Lake. And it actually is serviced by lifeguards, and it has washrooms and change facilities as well. So these things need to be checked for their hours of operation on the halifax.ca website. And it's something to check in before you go if that's the service that you need. But it's really close to the peninsula, and it's a perfect warm place to go swimming. The next one is Sandy Lake, and this one is in Bedford. It's a wonderful area. You have to park a little further up and then walk in, but it's serviced by a lifeguard as well. And it's really easy and accessible since you can actually walk into the lake and it's not a big jump in. So you can go just toes in, or you can go and wade all the way in. The next one is Couplet Lake, and this lake is actually in the wilderness area called Shaw Wilderness Park, part of the Purcell's Cove Backlands. So this area is not serviced by the municipality. And if you're going into this area, you want to make sure you have hiking experience. The last one we have listed is Shuby Beach, and this is part of Shuby Park. So you can go and walk the trails and end up at the beach to cool down, which is really, really nice.
Great. Yeah, we do have a couple more comments. So
Awesome.
Nestor is from Mexico. Hello from Mexico. Hello, Nestor. Hopefully you get a chance to come to Halifax and check out these wonderful beaches, trails, parks that Chelsea's mentioning. And Rahab says, all areas in Halifax are wonderful.
Mhm. Yes, we couldn't
I
agree
wouldn't say
more.
all areas, but most of them are pretty good.
Well, we do have beautiful nature. I would have to say that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great. We go to quite a few of those beaches and lakes. Yeah, I agree with you. Chocolate Lake is pretty steep. Like there's a big drop off when you go in, so it's really important you know how to swim. You have the proper protective equipment if you're not a strong swimmer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, even if you are a strong swimmer, sometimes it's nice to have a life jacket because then you could just float and relax.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Nestor, I don't think we're going to really answer this question tonight. That's not really either of our specialties. What do you recommend for a foreigner who wants to immigrate to Canada? So we do have another video. If you go on to our YouTube channel, Nestor, we have one about immigrating to Canada. So I recommend you watch that video and then reach out to our guest speaker that night, Wisdom. He was an immigration consultant. So I think we're just going to skip this question. Okay, thanks, Nestor. Okay, great.
Awesome. So those who want to go camping, I've kind of broke down the options you have for booking campgrounds and planning your camping trips. So we have 4 categories. The first one is national parks. So these parks are managed by the federal government. So the government of Canada runs these parks under the name of Parks Canada. So these parks are really interesting because they represent really significant natural areas in Canada. So they're each very unique. The provincial parks are run by each province or territory, depending on what place you are in Canada. And these protect provincially, territory, regional, and local significant areas. And then we have private campgrounds. Private campgrounds are owned and managed by companies or private individuals. And lastly, we have wilderness areas. So these are significant natural areas, and they are wild, just like the name suggests. So there are no services, and you often have to hike or portage in. And portaging is when you have your canoe or your kayak, and you actually have to carry it over land to the water destinations. So it's backcountry. So your first point of contact if you want to camp in a wilderness area is to contact the trail or local community groups that manage this. So sometimes they're called Friends of, and then the name of the wilderness area. So you'll want to look them up first before you go to make sure camping is allowed and what practices you have to follow.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people who go in and they just camp, but there are certain restrictions that you need to follow just to make sure that these areas are protected and managed properly. So it's always good to check in.
Okay, great. We do have a couple comments. So Nestor said, thanks for the tip. And Rahab, can I join a friend of mine in the broadcast, please? So we're not really accepting participants in this particular live stream. So you can just watch on Facebook or YouTube, Rahab. It's only Chelsea and me who are actually in the broadcast. So yeah, sorry about that. Okay, great.
Awesome. So next we have leave no trace. So these are things that you want to make sure you practice when you're outside in the wilderness and outside in nature and parks and even in cities. So you want to make sure that you plan ahead and prepare. You want to travel and camp on durable surfaces. So durable surfaces, the most durable are rocks. So you can think of how hard they are and how well they withstand people walking on them. The next is dispose of waste properly. So the best practice is to pack in and pack out. So any waste that you bring on your hikes or your adventures, you want to make sure that you bring home with you and that you dispose of it properly at home. And often you'll find litter on the trail as well. And if you have extra space in your bag, it's always great to bring that home with you as well. We don't want to leave those things on the trail. The next is leave what you find. So you want to leave nature intact and heritage intact. So you want to make sure that the people following you in coming days and months and years after will get to see and experience it just like you. The next is minimize campfire impacts. So fires have a really big impact on the environment, and you want to make sure that you're making sure there's no impact if you're having a fire. So the best practice is to actually bring a portable stove. The next is respect wildlife. So we respect wildlife by observing and not touching and making sure that we provide enough distance so they feel safe and secure. The next is be considerate of other visitors. Some people love to play music outside, and some people don't like any digital or technological experiences when they're outside. So we want to make sure that we're keeping our experiences to ourselves and not interrupting other people's experiences. The next we have is common outdoor hazards. So there are 3 categories that we have, and it's environmental, equipment, and human. So environmental hazards just include nature and all of the elements that occur with it. So some things you might encounter are poisonous plants or sun and getting sunburned, or you might have cliffs that are eroding, so they're getting caved in and they're dangerous to step on. The next we have equipment. So you just want to make sure that all of your equipment is working as it should and that it's in good condition. And then human hazards often come down to decision making. So you want to make sure that you're alert and making proper decisions to ensure your safety.
Great. Yeah, I just have a couple of comments or questions about these ones. So, like, are there dangerous animals in Mi'kma'ki where we are? Do we have to be aware of bears or tigers or lions or anything like that? And what about poisonous plants? I mean, sometimes we find something in nature like a berry or mushroom. Should we avoid them altogether or make sure we know what we're doing?
Yeah. So in terms of the food one, I would recommend never eating anything unless you can confidently know what it is. So don't take the risk. It's not worth it. Make sure you do your research beforehand. In terms of dangerous animals, we do have moose and black bear in Mi'kma'ki. They are not attacking animals unless you disturb them, and they're very far between, so you don't see them very often.
Yeah, I've been camping, and I always kept the food far away from the tent if possible. So maybe putting it in a tree, or if you drive in, maybe keeping it in the car. Is that a good idea to stay away from bears and stuff?
Yes. Even more so if there's no bears in the area, it's even good to put your food high up and like far out from where you are, because we've had squirrels eat our food actually. So we
really?
woke up in the morning and our dry bag was ripped open because the squirrels were able to get to it.
Okay,
So,
good tip.
if you don't want your food gone, then gotta make sure it's safe.
Yeah, great. Yeah, the other question I was thinking about was related to human hazards, because I know some people like to hunt, and we have a hunting season in Nova Scotia. So is there a time of year that we should avoid being outdoors, or should we dress to let hunters know that we're not prey?
Yeah, so there are different hunting seasons, so you can look them up online. But if you want to be seen, you want to wear orange. So orange is a color for hunting, so you don't get mistaken for a deer or like snowshoe hares.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Chelsea.
Yeah. So the next we have our safety tips and essentials. So these are important basics that you want to know and prepare accordingly. So you want to know your physical limitations. So not only how strong you are, but what's your endurance? How far can you hike? And you also want to know how you're feeling that day. Maybe you're feeling under the weather. You want to prepare properly. So make sure that you have everything that you need and that you've done the research for where you're going. If you're traveling alone or even with a group, you want to make sure that you're sharing your itinerary, so your trip plan, with somebody who's at home, so they know where you're going, and if you don't come back on time, they know who to contact. Next is the appropriate gear. So here in Halifax, I always say the one day I don't bring my rain jacket is the one day it rains. So you want to make sure that you have all the gear that you need with you, because the weather does change quickly, and you want to make sure that you're prepared and you have the gear that you need. So if you're going hiking, you have your hiking boots and stuff like that. The next is your emergency plan. So despite all the planning that you might do, accidents and incidents still happen. So you want to make sure you have an exit strategy, you know who to contact and what to do when something bad happens. The next is to be alert. So you don't want to be drinking or doing drugs on outdoor adventures, because you want to make sure that you're alert and you know that your surroundings are there. The next is assess risks. So you want to make sure that you take the time to assess your situation and make informed decisions. And lastly, we have first aid. So at minimum, you should carry a first aid kit with you, so Band-Aids and stuff like that. But it's really important and recommended that you actually learn the basic first aid skills and take a course so you're certified and you have the skills that you need on outdoor adventures.
Great. I don't see any questions in the comments section. Where should people go? So say they're just starting to get into hiking or camping. Where's a good place to go get the gear that they need?
Yeah. If you're just starting out, I would recommend renting. That way you can learn and see if you like it before you invest your money into it. So there are local companies such as Nova Camp, and they do outdoor gear rentals such as hiking backpacks and tents. There are also bigger stores like the Trail Shop and Mech, where you could also do stuff like that and make the bigger purchases when you're ready to.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I did have another question, but I forget it.
It'll come back.
Yeah, it might come back. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll just remind viewers, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just put it in the comments section and Chelsea will be able to answer.
I'll do my best. Okay, so we have our 10 essentials plus 1, so 11 for outdoor safety. These are the basic essentials that you'll need, no matter if you're doing a short day trip or a longer trip. And you can modify depending on the length, but these are the essential items. So you want to make sure that you're able to navigate. You want to protect yourself from the sun. You want to have insulation, so jackets and layering your clothing. You want to make sure you have light, so a flashlight or a headlamp. Your first aid supplies. You want to make sure that you can start a fire and repair your tools and equipment. So this often includes a knife. And you want to make sure that you have food and water, and that you have emergency shelter if you need to take cover or stay overnight in where you're going. And lastly, we have communication devices, which is the bonus essential. So you want to make sure you have a charged phone, maybe a backup charger, and also devices that don't need any charging. So a whistle or even a flare device, which lights up a flare into the sky so people can find you.
Great.
Awesome. So the next thing we're going to talk about is sustainable tourism. So sustainable tourism is definitely the future of tourism. It takes into the full account of current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, and addresses the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. So this is really important when choosing to take tours and support tourism businesses, because you want to make sure that these businesses are thinking about the future of the planet and for humans as well. So what we always say is vote with your wallet. So when you're looking to support a company or make a purchase, you want to choose companies that you support and that you value, and that their values align with yours. So some things that you can look for are transparency, sustainability, and action. So are they open with their business practices? Can you see what they're doing and understand it? What are their sustainability practices? Have they made any commitments? And what are their goals? And do they actually take action on what they say, or are they just talking? So these are some things to consider when supporting companies. Next is me. So Settled Nomads is my company. It is a new tour operator business. And I specialize in outdoor adventures and cultural activities that are off the beaten path and experiential as well. So the business name is an oxymoron. I decided to join the two concepts, that of being settled and that of being nomadic, to represent my own self-contradicting aspirations. So I caught the travel bug very early in life, and I fell in love with exploring and seeing the world. I could envision never setting down roots, feeding my curiosity, and living with my head in the clouds. However, I also have a deep desire to be self-sufficient, sustainable, and connected to a community, and have a foundation for growth. So, like I said at the beginning of the live stream, since my first visit to Mi'kma'ki in 2014, I knew this would be a place that I call home. And ultimately, this business and its name is a way for me to combine both of my contradicting life desires to fulfill my spectrum of battling aspirations. So you can check out my business online, settlednomads.com, to learn a little bit more about me. And feel free to reach out to me personally, and I would love to connect.
So I'll just put up your website while you mention it. So this is Chelsea's website. If you want to check out what tours she has available, learn a little bit more about herself and her company. And here is her email address. I'll put those on at the end of tonight's live stream as well.
Perfect. Awesome. So if you can see the screen again, for those who are in Nova Scotia or are planning a visit, I've provided a promo code for live stream viewers. RightStart is the promo code. So you can use it for both of these tours shown below. Crescents and Coves Seaside Adventure, and new is our Summer Evening Trip Series, which is a low-cost evening series where you can come out, get outside, and connect with people.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what each one entails? So do you take the bus together, or how long does it last? Where do you guys go? That type
Yes. So transportation is self-done. So at this point, since we're a new business, we don't provide transportation. But we are hoping in the next year or two that we'll be able to purchase a vehicle. So transportation isn't an issue for people. So the Crescents and Coves Seaside Adventure Tour is a full-day tour, and we go on a 10-kilometer hike, and it includes a wonderful lunch, and it ends on white sand beaches. So it's a fantastic day trip in HRM. Nice. The next one, the new one, is the Summer Evening Trip Series. So there are 6 trips in this series, and they go within the Halifax Regional Municipality, and they explore different parts of the city. And they're about 2 hours in duration in the evenings on Mondays. So we call them Meetup Mondays because there's fun every day of the week. You don't have to just have fun on the weekend.
I agree with that.
Yes. Working for the weekend no more.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
So we have here some online resources because there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to plan. So we included some websites that you guys can search up afterwards. Included is my social channels and the website. And here you can see some adventure planning information.
Awesome.
Additionally, we listed a few places for gear rentals. So this includes bike rentals, surfing, and stuff like that, and some additional resources that you can do some more research for. So thank you for tuning in, and we would love to hear what your next outdoor adventure will be. So feel free to comment or contact us later to share your experience.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's hear it. Where are you going to go next? If you're in Halifax, great. If you're not, that's fine. Yeah. Hopefully you just get out there, right? And explore nature, following all of Chelsea's suggestions about, being environmentally friendly and conscious. And also if you are in Mi'kma'ki, thinking about, who are the original people of this land and what is our role here, and making sure that we respect that. Okay, so we do have a comment. Thank you. You're very welcome, Rahab. So thank you, Chelsea from Rahab.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, we have just a couple minutes left. So yeah, I want to thank you very much, Chelsea, for sharing all your great ideas and your tips for being safe in nature, and also, making the most of it. I think those were really great.
Awesome. And I hope that this is going to be online afterwards so people can tune in again or scroll through to find the information that they need.
Yeah, exactly. We have a couple more comments as well. So Chaba said, thank you. This has been so useful. I definitely check your website later.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for tuning in, Chaba. And Nestor said, thank you for the information.
Glad you can tune in.
Great. Yeah, so I encourage everybody to check out Chelsea's website, Settled Nomads. I'll just put that up one more time so anybody who's still here can see it. And Chelsea's really nice. I'm sure she would be able to answer your questions, even if you don't sign up for a tour right away. If you had any questions about what gear to get or where you can go, I'm sure she'd be able to help you out with that.
Yeah, definitely. You can reach out on Instagram or Facebook or through our email.
Yeah. Great. Okay, awesome. So it was great having you on, Chelsea. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Have a great summer, and hopefully, yeah, I'll come along on one of your tours sometime.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Yeah. Okay, great. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks when we have our next settlement live stream. Okay.
Awesome.
Good night, everybody.